Welcome to Max Premieres. 2026 is shaping up to be a landmark year for cinema, and we mean that in the most literal sense. From nameless thieves robbing diamonds in Los Angeles to zombies that are no longer the most dangerous thing in the world, this year's films have kept us glued to our seats. Today we bring you the 10 best feature films released so far, a list that blends action, animation, horror, and crime in the perfect proportions. There's something for everyone. But before we begin, it would mean a lot if you took a moment to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for your support. Number 10. The Bride. Chicago, 1930s. A lonely monster asks the scientist Dr. Euphronius to create a companion for him. Together, they reanimate a murdered woman, and the bride is born, played by Jessie Buckley. But what rises from that operating table is not the obedient creature Frank expected. It's a furious, electrifying woman who remembers nothing and owes nothing to anyone. Maggie Gyllenhaal writes and directs this gothic reimagining of the Bride of Frankenstein legend, inspired by Mary Shelley's novel. Christian Bale plays Frank with an unexpected, quiet sadness, while Buckley carries the film on her shoulders with raw, overflowing energy. Annette Bening, Penelope Cruz, and Jake Gyllenhaal round out a stellar cast. The story spills out in all directions at once. Monster romance, gangster movie, 1930s musical, feminist manifesto. That is exactly what divides it. Where it shines is in its boldness and in Buckley's performance, which is pure electricity on screen. Where it falters is in a script that never quite decides what kind of film it wants to be. Divisive, loud, and absolutely impossible to ignore. Number 9. War Machine. During the final stage of the selection process to become Army Rangers, a group of elite soldiers faces something no training could have prepared them for: an otherworldly killing machine hunting them down one by one. Alan Ritchson leads the cast with the stoic intensity that has made him one of the standout figures in modern action cinema. Directed by Patrick Hughes, the same director as Hitman's Bodyguard, the film takes the classic Predator mold and fuses it with a well-constructed military survival thriller. Dennis Quaid, Stephen James, and Jai Courtney make up a solid supporting cast. War Machine reinvents nothing. What it does do and does well is execute its premise with craft, speed, and a relentless pace. The action sequences are well choreographed, and Ritchson proves he can carry a feature film on his own without it ever feeling forced. If you're looking for straightforward entertainment with no pretensions, this is your movie. Number 8. The Wrecking Crew. Johnny and James Hale are two half-brothers who haven't spoken in more than 20 years. One is an impulsive, chaotic cop working in Oklahoma. The other, a former Navy SEAL with a settled life and family in Hawaii. The suspicious death of their father forces them back into each other's lives, and what starts as a funeral turns into a race against organized crime, the Yakuza, and a conspiracy that reaches all the way to the state governor. Dave Bautista and Jason Momoa are the heart of this film. Their chemistry is real, their physicality imposing, and the contrast between their characters generates as much tension as it does laughter. Directed by Angel Manuel Soto, the movie knows exactly what kind of story it wants to tell: explosive action with genuine humor and a thread of family heart. The plot holds no surprises, but the execution has energy to spare. The fight scenes are filmed with clarity and creativity, and the Hawaiian setting gives the whole thing a visual flavor that few buddy movies can match. Number 7. Goat. Will is a goat with a massive dream, reaching the top of Roarball, a full-contact sport dominated by the biggest and most ferocious animals in the world. His first professional game leaves him exactly where everyone expected: on the bench, ignored, and underestimated. But Will was not born to stay quiet. Produced by Sony Pictures Animation with Stephen Curry as producer and voice in the film, Goat carries the visual DNA of the Spider-Verse movies: vibrant animation, bold character designs, and kinetic energy that never lets up. Caleb McLaughlin voices the lead with conviction, and the world of Roarball is built with details that real basketball fans will recognize and enjoy. The story of the small kid who changes the game is not new, but the film executes it with rhythm, humor, and genuinely emotional moments. Visually, it is spectacular. What it lacks is a script that matches those visual ambitions with the same depth. Number 6. The Rip. The Miami-Dade narcotics squad raids what looks like an abandoned house. What they find in the attic changes everything. $24 million in cash packed into plastic buckets. Protocol requires counting it on site before anyone can leave. And then, the clock starts ticking. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck reunite on screen in this police thriller directed by Joe Carnahan, inspired by real events. Damon plays Lieutenant Dane Dumars, and Affleck plays Detective Sergeant J.D. Burn. Two longtime partners whose friendship begins to crack under the weight of the money, the distrust, and the broken loyalties. Stephen Yeun, Kyle Chandler, and Teyana Taylor round out a first-rate ensemble. The Rip shines during its first half, tense, dark, and built with the cool precision of a 1970s thriller. The chemistry between the two leads is genuine, and the atmosphere of nocturnal, sweltering Miami functions as a character in itself. The tension is constant. The final twist divides audiences, but the ride is worth it. Number 5. Peaky Blinders, The Immortal Man. Peaky Blinders was one of the most important crime series of the last decade. Over 6 seasons, we followed Tommy Shelby, the ruthless leader of the most feared clan in Birmingham, from the aftermath of World War I through the 1930s. The series ended in 2022, leaving the door slightly open. Birmingham, 1940. World War II is tearing Europe apart, and Nazi Germany has put a plan into motion to destroy Britain from within, flooding the country with counterfeit currency to trigger hyperinflation. Tommy Shelby, retired and broken, is dragged back into the fray when his son Duke, played by Barry Keoghan, becomes entangled in that conspiracy. Cillian Murphy returns to the role with the same magnetic gravity as always, and Keoghan brings a young, volatile energy that balances the film's twilight tone. Rebecca Ferguson and Tim Roth join as new faces who work well. The film carries the visual style of the series, grim, stylish, and atmospheric, though it doesn't always reach the emotional depth its story deserves. For fans, it is a necessary farewell. Number 4. Send Help. Linda Little has spent 7 years being the most competent employee at Preston Strategic Solutions, and yet she just lost her promised promotion to the useless son of the late CEO. Bradley Preston, her new boss, despises her and plans to get rid of her. What he didn't calculate was that both of them would survive the crash of their corporate plane in the middle of nowhere, alone. Sam Raimi returns to the genre that made him a legend with this survival black comedy starring Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien. The premise is a class and power war dressed in gore horror. On the island, there is no office hierarchy, and Linda, an expert in survival shows, holds all the cards. O'Brien builds a boss so detestable, the audience actually enjoys what happens to him. The plot twists escalate into darker and darker territory, and the third act leaves a bittersweet taste, which is exactly the point. Raimi at his most twisted and most fun. A gem from the start of the year. Number 3. Hoppers. In the city of Beaverton, Mabel is a 19-year-old who has grown up protecting the forest glade where a colony of beavers lives. When the mayor announces the area will be demolished to build a highway, Mabel discovers that the university has developed a technology capable of the unimaginable, transferring human consciousness into the body of a lifelike robotic animal. Pixar returns in a big way with Hoppers, an original and idea-rich premise the studio executes with extraordinary animation. Piper Curda voices Mabel with genuine energy, and Bobby Moynihan as King George the Beaver is pure, well-timed comedy. John Hamm and Kathy Najimy complete the voice cast. The film has the cool, absurdist humor of its best scenes, the warmth of its ecological message, and the emotional pull of a Pixar classic. The tension stays alive through the sheer originality of its premise. Seeing the world through the eyes of animals has never been this funny or this unsettling at the same time. Visually spectacular and emotionally it lands when you least expect it. One of the studio's best films in years. Number 2. Crime. 101. Los Angeles today. Mike is a jewel thief who treats robberies like an exact science. No violence, no DNA, no witnesses. Every job is executed near an on-ramp to the 101 freeway, the same road that carries him to and from his targets as if it were second nature. The police have been looking for him for years without even knowing his name. Based on Don Winslow's novella, Crime 101 is one of those adult thrillers that are almost never made anymore. No gratuitous explosions, no forced humor, with a cast that knows exactly what it has in its hands. Chris Hemsworth demonstrates a versatility here that his superhero films were never able to show. Mark Ruffalo builds Detective Lou Lubeznik as a classic noir character, soft-spoken, smiling, relentless, and Halle Berry adds a layer of moral ambiguity that enriches the entire dynamic. The tension never lets up. Barry Keoghan appears in a supporting role that steals every scene he's in. Crime 101 is one of the most elegant and precisely calibrated films of the year, a reminder that adult crime cinema is alive and well when it's in the right hands. Number 1. 28 years later, The Bone Temple. 28 years after the Rage virus transformed Great Britain into a land of the infected, the world has never recovered. The first film in this planned trilogy, released in 2025, returned us to that universe through the eyes of Spike, a teenager raised inside an isolated community who has never known the world that came before. The Bone Temple continues that story immediately. Spike falls into the hands of Jimmy Crystal, a charismatic and ruthless cult leader who turns their encounter into a nightmare he cannot escape. Meanwhile, Dr. Kelson, played by Ralph Fiennes, advances toward a discovery that could change everything the survivors believe about the infected. Directed by Nia DaCosta, with a screenplay by Alex Garland, The Bone Temple is more violent, darker, and more disturbing than its predecessor. The infected are no longer the greatest threat. The inhumanity of the survivors surpasses them. Fiennes and Jack O'Connell deliver performances that justify the 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. A sequel that dares to go further than the original and leaves the trilogy with a necessary handoff to Danny Boyle for the third chapter. And that's our list for today. 10 films from 2026 that prove the year is just getting started. From family animation to adult crime thrillers, from 1930s monsters to infected who are no longer what they seem, cinema is alive and has a lot left to say. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave your like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss our upcoming videos. Stay tuned because the coming months will bring a great deal more to talk about. The best films of the year are still ahead, and we'll be here to cover it all.